Without further ado, Chris Dunn.
Great. Thanks, Devin. Thanks for the introductions. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all, and nice to meet some new faces. And the panel today is to talk about how to upskill sustainability into your workflow as production professionals here in the North and elsewhere as well. But what I'd like to do, just to begin with, is I'm going to do a very short presentation about Ontario Green Screen and about what tools and services and resources are available to anybody across the province that's interested. So we just recently launched our strat plan. It's a 4-year strat plan, and it was many months in the making to develop it. And we came out the back end of that process with 4 strategic pillars. They're strengthen partnerships, inform and educate, best practices implementation, and measuring impact. So within those pillars, we have a number of goals and tactics that we want to deliver upon within the first year, and then moving on into year 2 and then into year 3 and 4. So these are our list of key goals that we want to take away that we want to deliver upon this year. So in strengthening partnerships, we're developing some green table meetings, which will be tactical meetings where we bring people that are decision makers, people who can actually make those changes within production and within the production streams to kind of find out what are the tricky points for them, what are the barriers, where are the pressure points for them to make those changes. We're going to be building out our communication strategy and making sure that the production industry knows what tools and resources are available through Ontario Green Screen. Inform and education is a big piece of what we do, so we really want to kind of build out more our training. So we offer climate sustainable production training, carbon calculator training. We're building out some additional training, some asynchronous training courses that will be available. And then in terms of best practices implementation, we're just in the process of launching our waste report, which will be launched next week at the Sustainable Production Forum. We'll be doing a deep dive into that to find out what opportunities for action that come out of that report that we can kind of action throughout all of our work in the next couple of years. Lots of really good things to take away from that. And then in measuring impact, we want to build our partnerships and just kind of continue on with the momentum that we've been working towards to kind of understand what our baseline is in the industry here in Ontario, and then also kind of just build that forward. So that's what we're working towards in year 1, and these are some of the things that we'll be working towards in year 2, 3, and 4. I won't go into those because we don't have a lot of time, so I can give you more details about this if you want to chat. And our strat plan is available online, so you can go to our website, you can download our strat plan and read all of the goals and tactics in more detail at through that document. To get involved directly and like right now, you can do a number of things. You can take our training courses, you can become an ambassador, you can take advantage of our Partners in Project Green initiative. Unfortunately, that's only available to productions that are in the GTA, but we're looking for partners that might be able to offer up similar types of opportunities here in the North and throughout the province. If there are any, please come and talk to me and we can see what we can do. And then there's our Second Harvest partnership as well. Second Harvest is a national organization for food rescue, and there's opportunities for productions across the province and across Canada to take advantage of their food rescue app. And it's a very easy, free way for you to kind of give back to the communities that you're working in, and also to kind of save a lot of food from going into the landfill. And then finally, we have a grid tie-in map, and this is our way of kind of working towards helping the industry reduce the amount of fossil fuels that they're using with generators. So if there's an ability for people to tie into municipal infrastructure, if there's an ability to tie into things like that, residential homes, businesses, things like that, we can list them on our website so that when location managers are looking for those locations, they can easily find them and kind of tie into that. So that's how to get involved. These are our socials, so feel free to like us, check us out. If you have any questions, I'm here until Friday evening, Saturday morning. So always happy to chat about Ontario Green Screen and Ontario Crates and anything that we can do to help support. So with that, I'm going to hand the clicker over to Emily, and Emily's going to talk to us about the city of Sudbury.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Sion and Devin and the team for hosting today. And I'm honored to be alongside someone who provides food as medicine on set. So really great food on set. So, okay. So as Devin mentioned, my role is as Business Development Officer with the City of Greater Sudbury for Arts, Culture, and Film. So I call it the fun portfolio. And we get to tell people all about how great Sudbury is for filming, but today looking forward to telling you a little bit about some of the initiatives that we'd like to have the film community tap into more, so you can see the city as a partner and a resource, and we're listening to see what the gaps are, because we certainly acknowledge that it's a process and we all have accountability. Forgive me as I'm learning how to use this clicker.
We're fighting each other.
The battle of the clicker.
There you go.
All right.
Forgive me, what specific department was that again?
I'm with Economic Development, the Tourism and Culture Division. So that's where the Sudbury Film Office is housed. So myself, some of you might have met Clayton Drake, our film officer.
Yeah, I've worked with him, yeah.
And Lara Fielding is the Manager of Tourism and Culture, Meredith Armstrong, Director of Economic Development, and so they all send their regards as well. So I won't drone on too much about where we are, but the City of Greater Sudbury has a lot of lakes, a lot of landmass, third largest municipality geographically in Canada. So that certainly plays into some of the things I'm sure we'll talk about today. We've got hotels, great crew, and a big part of our history in Sudbury is the regreening. So when I was born, it looked closer to the photo on the right, and now this is a few years back, the photo on the left. So the Sudbury story, of course, for those of you who are already familiar, is very near and dear to our hearts, and is well known that we haven't always been great to our land here, our community. That's Justin Trudeau and Jane Goodall last year coming to celebrate the 10 millionth tree being planted in Sudbury, big accomplishment. And so when we started looking into how sustainability fits within our filming guidelines back in 2015, 2016 or so, back when the OGS was but a twinkle in Chris's eye, we looked to Real Green, sorry if I'm looking behind me, Real Green BC, and there's so much work that's already been done. So I just wanted to credit some of the national, provincial, and local initiatives that have really paved the way for us to take a look at how that applies to the film community. Oh, sorry, I'll get the hang of this eventually. Sorry for the pixelated images. This was just a great way of acknowledging that it's a shared accountability, both and collectively, to have some of these processes in place for waste management, but also individually. There's no way that anyone can police on set to make sure that waste diversion is happening. It's a individual responsibility. We all know that there's a lot of garbage that comes out of sets, and we certainly look forward to talking about how waste diversion happens in the community. There's incentives for having sorted trash. It's cheaper to bring in sorted trash. We've got 3 landfills, as well as a transfer station across the city. So being a huge city, you can find a place to dispose of it, and round the clock recycling hours, as well as organics that can be brought in to those depots. We don't have thrift stores. We have a thrift store district in Sudbury. There's plenty of places to promote the circular economy, refillery type stores as well. Second Harvest, which Chris mentioned, operates out of Sudbury. Restore, there are many others to mention. I just wanted to plug a partnership that is between the Nowhere Public House and the Flower Mill Community Gardens to divert some of the waste there. We've got a really snazzy app to help figure out, does styrofoam go in the garbage or does it go in the blue box in Sudbury? Is that the same as Timmins? Is it the same as North Bay? So we'd like to promote that. We've got plans that are well in place to eliminate all water bottles from municipal properties by introducing water refill stations where they don't currently exist. And there are many that already do exist in our municipal facilities, and where they don't, if you're filming very remotely, we've got this, this swanky water buggy that can be brought out to remote locations as well. So we also have an anti-idling bylaw. I mean, riveting stuff, but I was looking into it a little bit more. There are a lot of exceptions. So if it's cold, if it's hot, it doesn't apply. So there's certainly some work to be done within our transportation networks to promote more alternate options there. We have charging stations. I wanted to put a photo of them actually working in the winter because we know that we have long winters here. So new network that's happening. I wanted to put a vintage photo of our transit buses, and for those of you who are coming on Friday's bus tour, you'll know why. So sneak peek there. We also have some really innovative stuff that is coming out of our post-secondary institutions as well as industry here in Sudbury. So William F. White's has got diesel alternatives for generators available here. Again, I'm so sorry for the pixelated images. Threw this together kind of quickly. Wanted to share some highlights and leadership really from productions that have hired sustainability coordinators who have taken various types of steps. Becoming Tom Thompson is one to plug as well. There was really exciting project that came out of Zombie Town where they recycled some sets. I won't share too much about that, but stay tuned. And then just I wanted to reiterate our commitment and support. So this is a dialogue. There are many opportunities for us to work with the film community to see what the gaps are, and would love to have more conversations about that. And I'll pass it over to Suzanne. Oops, sorry, you have your own.
I got my own.
You got your own.
Am I on? Check. Ani. Ani Bojo. Miigwech for inviting me to this amazing panel and to be able to talk about waste management, especially on film sets. I've been around film sets for about 30 years. Did some producing and did some co-productions with Australia, PMing, worked for CTV for a number of years. Worked with our media for a number of years trying to change the portrayals and the stereotypes of Indigenous people on the air and in print. So this is, film sets weren't new to me, but it was very serendipitous how we got into craft. My daughter is also a filmmaker and a director-producer, an award-winning filmmaker too. And, you know, we got a call one day, and it was from a colleague of ours in the city of Sudbury, and they were just starting up here in Sudbury in terms of the industry, the film industry. Anyway, she put it on speakerphone, and I'm super busy with other things. I was like on 5 boards. I'm doing all these things. I'm very active in the community, as Emmeline would know and remember. She goes, "Come on, Mom, like, let's do this. We're the only ones that know how to, you know, we know how film sets work." But I'm not a chef. I'm a mom. Like I said, then I told her that. I said, I'm a mom. Like, she goes, "Yeah, but that's okay. Like, you cook for our family. We have a big family. We're always cooking." And so that's kind of how we fell into craft. And we thought, you know what? Yeah, we'll go help them out. Because we know our way around sets, and let's go and help them. So we did. And not long after that, this is not my career. I was like helping my daughter out. So we stuck around. We bought a craft truck. We were trained by some craft providers from Toronto, and they were selling their fleet, and we bought one of them. We thought, okay, let's do this. I'll help you. I'll get it going, you know. And well, it's 10 years later, and I'm still around with Cindy. We're known as Crafty Chicks, and we like to believe that we provide a very unique environment for our cast and crew. Our truck actually gets smudged on our shows. We get caught every now and then. We're trying to be very discreet. But our directors or producers would walk in early in the morning when they're not supposed to be there, but they're there for an espresso. And they'd want that too. So we'd smudge our directors down so they had a good day and that their minds and their spirit was clean and in a good way so they can creatively do the work that they needed to do. So we have a very unique touch. So I'm a home comfort food mom, but we believe in what we do. We actually care about what we do. We don't sit in the back of a craft truck and read a book and never look at you. We actually embrace every cast and crew. We know who's coming on, and we know what their needs are. Oh, we worked with them like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but my daughter has an amazing memory, and she'll remember the tea or the coffee and the mix that they wanted and needed, and she'll bring it to set. We look after their nutrition, not just food. We take care of all of their nutrition needs. So if they're tired, you know what we offer them? We offer them grapefruit juice. Because there's studies that have shown that it keeps you awake. There's a lot of work involved in craft. If anybody's been on a film set, we handle the entire cast and crew and any visitors that come, including background. I think our biggest show had 1,069 background, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, are you kidding me? I couldn't believe how, but it's part of our portfolio now in terms of how we manage and care for every one of them. And we put a lot of care into it, and people will know. But there is one area, and as a land steward of the Anishinaabe people, this is super important to me, and super grateful to be a part of this panel, and to talk about waste management and how we take care of Mother Earth. If anybody knows film sets and have worked on them, they know the volume that craft services can pump out in terms of waste and what would go to a landfill and or our recycling. There's volumes, and I'm just going to give you just a tidbit. On average, we'll plow through, and this is just one item. I just want you to know, one item. This is a coffee cup, and it's 1,000 cups we go through in 1 week on a small show, and 1,000 lids. That's just a coffee cup. And that's just 1 cup of coffee, maybe 2 for the crew, and then we have to repurchase from our supplier. So there's numerous other products that we use to ensure, and COVID certainly didn't help. COVID didn't help. Holy cow, everything had to be packaged. And try and find environmentally friendly packaging at that time was really difficult. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm glad you're here too. And hopefully we can come up with some solutions and some strategies, and maybe just start the narrative and the discussion around this. For film sets, my daughter and I, for Crafty Chicks, are excited, and we're glad to be here to help part of that discussion, and we're more than willing to go 100% with whatever our productions need, and whatever our city needs, and wherever we're going with this. Miigwech.
So I'm curious, do you find it difficult in finding alternative sources to reduce your footprint, like such as wooden spoons, wooden forks, biodegradable plates, spoons, things like that? Like, do you find there's a niche market where, you know, companies could perhaps rise to the occasion and create greater quantities and volumes of these biodegradable items, or like, do you find there's too much styrofoam, for example, etc.?
There's one thing we don't use, and we have never used, is styrofoam in our truck.
Okay.
And I know that Chris has some great questions, and
And that was actually one of my questions.
It's gonna answer
So, which is awesome. But I love this. I love the idea of nourishing the crew and kind of feeling that need to be responsible for what you're delivering and what you're creating and what you're wasting. And you know, we all know that you know that the film industry can be quite wasteful in regards to set pieces and to other things. But the food waste piece is massive, and just coming out of our study, that I'm taking some of the data from that, and up to 33% of landfill that's generated by crew can be attributed to organic food waste that's going into landfill. It's not even being diverted into organic waste streams, which would be much more beneficial, but it's just going into landfill. So I guess my question to you, Suzanne, just to start things off, is just, is there, are there ways that you can see that you'd be able to help support kind of an organic waste collection stream on a craft truck? Like with a background count of 1,000, that just seems like astronomical and really a very unattainable thing to do. But are there ways that you can see that happening? And then I guess the question would kind of naturally progress down to Emily from the city standpoint to say, well, how are the organic waste streams kind of available to film production companies? And is that a way that we can collaborate so that production can utilize the services that the city has to offer?
Well, from what I understand, and this could be, there might be something new that I haven't heard of, but as far as I know, that there's no composting, commercial composting services available if we were to go ahead and start collecting organic waste from our craft truck. We are more than willing to do that. We've tried it, but there's no one that can take it. We don't have an entrepreneur, we don't have a business, private sector, or public sector. So, we're kind of at the mercy of these particular initiatives to happen, right? So we can also engage and participate in this change, in this transformation we're trying to go for. But there is none. I can go ahead and collect, but who's the vendor and the third party that's going to come and collect it? Is production going to, or is there fees? So this is all brand new, but we did look into that, and we did talk to actually, believe it or we kind of had conversations with our locations teams over the years, and we would do this with waste as well as with recycling, and they would bring the blue bins, and it was like right on, because we have volumes of waste, paper products, plastic bottles, metal, and organic waste. And right now, as it stands, no. We have no, but it's not impossible. I'm a huge optimist, and I
Sounds
know
like an
it's going that way.
opportunity for somebody, right?
Absolutely. And if we have some entrepreneurs out there that can start this and service our productions and our producers to help build and create a sustainability department for us, similar to COVID. We did it for COVID, and we can do it on set with this as well. So yeah, I'm super excited about that.
So Emily, what about the city? What tools are available through the city for waste collection from a production standpoint?
Yeah, so great that was brought up. Because I think going back to that inverted triangle, first we got to make sure that there is as little waste as possible. That's for starters. So food rescue programs, I mean, we were chatting offline, but I think there are some really great initiatives that Crafty Chicks is already undertaking to minimize the amount of waste that there is to begin with. But once it's as small as absolutely possible, this is being recorded, so I shouldn't probably say this, but they are equipped at the landfills to collect organic drop-offs. However, the commercial organic waste pilot is not currently in place at a scale that would be able to service film. But like I said, it can be dropped off at the landfills. But it's very important, and I was speaking with the folks at Solid Waste before, knowing that this question would come up. There are also some really important sorting that a lot of us need reminding, and that is the types of bags that organic waste goes in, and not just any kind of biodegradable bag, but ones that are certified for that purpose, because otherwise they'll just end up going in the landfill anyways. But also some of the diversion, so that's last resort, but some of the diversion gaps that I think we could talk, we're blue in the face today about, and that's, for example, the community farms. I mean, they need compost every single spring. Maybe not in February, but every single spring they need that too. So trying to create some of those links, I think, is something that we'd definitely like to support. And then Solid Waste is able to provide any kind of on-set education that would be helpful for folks who may or may not be familiar with the ins and outs, and I'll be honest, I learned a lot this week too in speaking with them. So whether that's posters or you know, a 5-minute presentation to all of the cast and crew who are on set that day, if it's going to be a big waste day. Or they've even said that they could come in and do a sorting demonstration. I was speaking with some folks from Sinking Ship back at TIFF, and that was the most effective thing that they did, was they had the garbage, because they were having sorting issues, they had the garbage actually opened up in front of the cast and crew members by their sustainability coordinator, who then sorted out, this actually doesn't go here, this actually doesn't go here. And so there's some accountability that, you know, this is your colleague who's going through your garbage, so sort. So I think that's really key as well. And our solid waste folks said that they would be happy to come on set and do that if that's helpful as a demo. Maybe not happy, but they said they would.
It's a mind shift, right? It's really a change in the way that we actually kind of work and the way that we kind of interact with each other as well. And it's not just, you know, it's having that person right there to say, this is your garbage and I'm sorting it for you. That's kind of, that really puts it out there to say, hey, you know, this is not okay, right? We need to be helping one another to kind of do these processes that are going to become the norm for us.
I just want to add to that too, but there is a reality on film sets, and depending on what's going on, it's very rigorous. And having, I mean, it's not impossible to create new habits and new ways of doing things on set in terms of eco-friendly and sustainability. But there's a reality with some of our departments that don't even have a moment, I know this is being recorded, but go to the washroom for a pee. This is a reality, and it's a fact, where we don't even have that moment, a personal moment, because it's so rigorous on set. And it is for Crafty Chicks too, when we're looking over, you know, taking care of hundreds of people. And however, not to, but there is a reality in terms of, you know, it's going to, you know, require amazing leadership from our production office, from our unions, our crews, to really adapt and help transform this, because we need another department. Who's going to be able to sort? Who's going to be able to sort? We locations is like under the gun for so much in transport. They're busy. And they're limited. They have budgets,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And there's going to be fees attached to this. But I think this is a conversation with our production teams too. It's a reality, and it's coming. And I mean, we did it for COVID. We pulled together everybody, right? Mm-hmm. And we had a brand new department. It was really weird for us to see them on set too. It was like, you're a department? You're part of the crew? Yeah, we're crew. Like, it was just really, but it was a reality for us for a couple of years, right? And we're going to need it here too, because there's no way, unless they hire a bunch of people and other resources, physically, for us too as a tag team, and we get maybe a craft assist every now and then on our big shows. We do a lot of this ourselves. We're not like Toronto. I'm sorry. I just need to put this out there in terms of Northern Ontario. But their craft teams, they have people that clean the truck, prep for everything. There's teams of people doing this, separate people, cooking for them, stocking the truck, delivering the truck to craft servers, and people that come and clean the truck and keep it clean for the next day. We don't do that here. Northern Ontario, Cindy and I as Crafty Chicks, and any other craft provider in Northern Ontario does it all themselves. We don't have warehouses to bring our truck to. We don't have people stocking our shelves. We do it all. We're around the clock with all this, plus cooking.
But I think you touched on something really important, though,
to
right?
sorting, absolutely. It's a reality. It's the way our lifestyle and our career works on film sets. We're not the only department either. It's equal across the board.
Yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
works super hard. And
it comes from the top down and the bottom up, right? And we've seen in productions there can be diversion rates from upwards of 90% to 9%. And if there's a will within the production coming from the producers all the way down and from the production coming up, then those diversion rates can go up like exponentially. But it really is a collective effort from the crew, and it really does take that leadership piece, right, to say this is what we're doing. And you know, there are production companies that I know of that are saying, yes, we are going to do this, and they know that it's there's a little bit of a cost associated with that because you're hiring waste vendors that are sorting and doing that diversion and all of that haulage for you. But they realize that there is a benefit to that, and there's a cost benefit to it at the end of the day, because you're not using as many water bottles, you're not using as many products, and you're kind of utilizing all of the products to the best of their ability to the end of their life, right?
Absolutely. Like even with what we do with our shows too, we read every label, and we make sure that this particular item can dispose in the ground. And we have all of what we could do to our best ability, what is available out there in terms of suppliers to get eco-friendly type materials. We go into beta with some of our stuff, believe it or not. We sample it on every show. Okay, let's try this. It's made out of mushrooms. Like, honest to God. And we see how long it lasts in their juice cups. And it dissolves. And then we'll get complaints. You know what I mean? So we haven't figured out which one, the organic straws yet, even though we have them. And they're super skinny. We would never be able to do a smoothie with it. Like, you know what I mean? But we're still working on a few things. But majority of what we pump out of our truck in terms of trying to help to that limited ability right now is at least bringing in, biodegradable paper products that we can use. We're stuck with plastic bottles, but we have tried with some of our productions over the years. One producer wanted to do, we're going 100% no bottles. Well, isn't it the summer that's 100 degrees out? And all of a sudden at the 11th hour, you know what, Cindy, we can't do it. We need a couple cases for the director. We need a couple cases for this person. That person ends up being a full-blown tons of bottled waters. And we were like super stoked about it because they had even purchased water bottles. And we're like, right on, okay. Mm-hmm. Transport doesn't have to run for us anymore. The environment, they're not going to be lying around anymore. And this watering station that the city has in terms of refilling stations is a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. Why can't we have that on set? And have refilling stations? We can. Well, how can we do this? We have it at our powwow. I thought it was great that I could bring my water bottle. I was like, are you kidding? It was awesome. But that's a huge incentive. And to see that little mobile unit there that I could just go up to and have fresh water all the time.
Yep.
I mean, they do it in Europe. Yeah, it's absolutely. Yep. I think just baby steps, that would help. Mm-hmm. I'd love to have that on the next show.
I did. Just one more on organics.
One more on organics, and then we'll move on to clean energy, because we don't have a lot of time left.
All municipal facilities are responsible for having recycling and organics collection on site. So if you are, I don't know if anyone here is in locations, but if you are renting a municipal facility, not garbage, that might be an additional fee, and that's to incentivize that. So that is a responsibility great. Of all municipal facilities.
So would that be, like, if somebody was renting a municipal building for their lunchroom, would all of that Correct. Material be added into that? Yep. Fantastic. Yeah. That's great. That's the first I've heard of that being available in a jurisdiction, so congratulations on that.
Small wins.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I know we've got questions, but I just want to touch on clean energy just for a bit, and then we're going to have time for questions at about the quarter after mark. But I did want to touch on clean energy. So the organics and the product waste piece is absolutely huge. We could probably have a 4-hour panel discussing all of the minutiae details of it. But clean energy is also a really big. It's probably a bigger contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions that a production emits. So I'd love to talk to Emily a little bit, and you touched on it a little bit with your slides, about the types of opportunities that are available for clean energy solutions with the production context, obviously. So can you give us a little bit of insight into what's available for productions that are coming to the city of Sudbury? Things like, is there car sharing? What options are available?
Yeah, so as you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but transportation is one of the major contributors to the carbon footprint for most productions.
Over 60%, yeah.
And there we go, great. And we're not getting any closer to Toronto. Sudbury is where it is, so we know that transportation is critical. And so you saw that the electric vehicle charging stations are being developed across the city. There is a network. We can. I'm happy to share the map of where those are with anyone who is interested. We're working with our hotel partner through Sudbury Tourism to encourage more charging stations. There aren't too many, unfortunately, if anyone's listening that owns a rental company, there aren't too many that have hybrid and electric options. I know that that's a gap, especially with availability of those vehicles to begin with. And it's really, I think, motivating to see what some of our post-secondary institutions have been doing, knowing that Sudbury, being the nickel city, is definitely an important part of the supply chain for battery electric vehicles. We're also really, really keen to work with businesses who are looking at Sudbury to establish themselves here, because I've heard too many times when there's like a special camera lens that you have to get in Toronto and then you're overnighting it back and forth. You're maybe even sending a driver down to do a round trip to get that. And we want to be able to service the industry that we have here with gear here. So, yeah.
So as the industry grows, the infrastructure will be here to kind of reduce the amount of emissions that people are offsetting. So Suzanne, are there ways, we spoke about this yesterday a little bit, but from a craft perspective, you had mentioned that you source locally as much as you can, and there's other ways that you can do that. Can you touch on that, about how you might be, from a craft perspective, be reducing your carbon footprint from food purchasing? Are you purchasing like locally? You said you go fishing?
Yeah, we do. Well, actually, I have my husband doing that for me every spring. But yeah, we do. What we try to do is we purchase locally. Like St. Joseph's Island, we'll buy the honey, we'll buy the coffee beans, because we grind our own beans in the truck. And we'll buy anything, all the meat supply. When we're in the Sioux, we buy from the local butcher instead of the independents. It's a little more costly, but we budget to have quality food in for our crew. And I know we don't make a lot of money, just so you know, because all of our money goes into our cast and crew for everything that they need, right down to Gatorade. And we also provide, I know this is not something that I should be talking about too much, but we do adopt a family in our crew that is struggling. And we keep an eye on who's booting around here. We hear conversations, and we provide them some help, financial help, and we also buy them groceries. And at the end of our show, we encourage and we let our production office know that to bring your bags at the end of the show, and all of our food goes back to crew and to some of our PAs. And it also feeds families in my First Nation community. And the last big show we were on, Park the Truck, they know we're home. And we knew that this grandmother was struggling with her grandbabies. And we saved milk. We made sure that our crew left the milk and certain items that were unopened, and she came and picked up all the fruit in the fridge and all the celery and the carrots and the milk. We try to go full circle to make sure that that entire piece goes back, and we're not wasting. I know in my community, wasting is not a cool thing. We have a lot of underemployed, unemployed people in our communities, and we'll do whatever we can to help them that are struggling, including our crew. We've bought clothes, boots, underwear, everything, socks, to whatever they need.
It's such a holistic approach to it,
Yeah,
and
they're human beings, and I don't understand how the other craft does it. I'm just a mom, and I know if I was working away from home, I would care about that roast beef sandwich with homemade gravy. Like, I would care about the mashed potatoes I care about it, making sure that every lump is gone when I'm making shepherd's pie. Or when I'm making a moose chili when I do Indian tacos. It all matters. And we're in Northern Ontario, not just because I'm First Nation, but our men, a lot of our men, not just First Nations and Indigenous men, they hunt. This is hunting territory. We hunt for our moose. They're fishermen. So we bring a little bit of a taste of Northern Ontario with our crews, with our producers, and the people that are visiting our area. We have pickerel, first thing, who gets free pickerel on a craft truck? Well, we provide it, because it's normal for us. And Brooke Shields loved it. Everybody, always on walkie. Anybody see number one? She was constantly, we have photos, but that's what she would eat. She loved the pickerel. And we would do that in the spring. It's always seasonal, right? And then the trout comes out when the pussy willows are out. So we keep track of certain things. And my son fed our family all winter. He shot a moose, and that's what came into our truck. We do moose pepperettes. We try to take from the land too. And we bring from our garden, from our home garden, our vegetable garden. I have pictures sitting out there. It was like 10, I don't know how cold it was, but I was picking strawberries one year in Sturgeon Falls. But man, was it cold. But we will do our best to give everything we can to our cast and crew, and we haven't changed. We're still the same. We'll always do it.
It's amazing. It's like it's the 100-mile diet, right? Like you're getting everything, as much as you can, sourcing it as locally as possible. I think we're close to the end of our discussion. I have one more question for the panelists, and then we'll open it up for questions for for everybody in the audience. So it's a very kind of simple question. I just want to know if you could give maybe one or two ideas about what you think that people could do right now to kind of help support sustainable practices in their work. Emily, can I start with you?
In terms of on set?
Just on set, in their life, in their daily kind of work, like just what can they do to kind of help move the needle towards sustainability?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there are two. I think it really
There's probably
depends
100.
on context. I mean, you're not necessarily going to be, biking to the studio every day if it's a 45-minute drive. So I don't think that there is a one-size-fits-all in what they are. Personally, for me, I think that every single policy that gets endorsed by the municipality needs to go back to that net zero goal. We've declared a climate emergency. So we need to take action, and that might mean, voting with your fork. It might mean lowering your transportation, carpooling. I know that we don't have all of the amenities necessarily in Sudbury right now to have all of those answers, but I think that it's a very personal choice, and for me, transportation and food. You made me hungry. I'm thinking about what I want to pick from my garden tonight. So those are for myself. And then just looking back to always thinking, what am I putting into the garbage? What am I putting into the air? What am I putting into the water? And is it worth it for what the reason is for doing that in the first place? So.
Great. Thanks, Emily. Suzanne?
Wow. Okay, so that's a loaded question.
Totally
right,
loaded.
Eh?
Yeah,
oh
totally
my God.
loaded.
I think we should, approach sustainability like we did with COVID. We need to just call the hard shots. Talk our producers. Create a department. Bring in a refill watering station. Provide instead of a hat and a hoodie. How about some forks, knives, and spoons that are in a little kit? Mm-hmm. How about water bottles? I think there's ways to do that. I'm a huge optimist. I believe we can do this. I think it's just a matter of time. And the funny thing, when I used to work for BDO Dunwoody and Associates many years ago as a project advisor, we would do ISO certification. Anybody hear that? And just leave that in the back of your mind. And then when I was invited by VIP, I was a VIP for Craft Canada. I went to a boot camp for them for carbon emissions and the environment one time. And they brought in huge companies. Sears was there, and we're looking at the supply chain and who was doing what and all the lies that were going on when they put a little stamp on your clothing that said it was organic and it was cotton. Well, we find out, okay, no, it's not, because you just found out through your supply chain that it is a lie. So, people want reassurance. You know what I mean? It's a visual imagery is the language of perception, and we see certain things, it qualifies it. ISO used to put a stamp saying we're ISO certified. You know what? I trusted that. I trusted that their admin and their functions and their admin functions were working really good, their management systems. I trusted that. I did. And so with everything we read, why couldn't it be that we have an extra credit somewhere and on our deal memos that says that we're environmentally green filmmaking here? And this is the new behavior. You need to bring your own water bottle and your forks and spoons, because this is what we do here now.
Like green riders.
Absolutely.
We've heard of those before,
yes.
right?
Why
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Why can't we?
That's amazing. So I want to open up the floor to questions. So I just want to thank you both for the conversation today.
Thank you.
But want to
Thanks,
open it up
Chris.
for anybody in the audience that has any questions for either of us.
Yes, good afternoon. Firstly, thank you, Brad. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Suzanne. Lovely to see you engaging. I am one of those entrepreneurs. I run a VFX company, and we give service to the set and also to the post-production. I also support First Nation and Inuit productions through finance and other things. You're discussing sorting, education, and getting it done. But at the end of the day, it all goes to the landfill anyway, because there aren't resources there, either from the municipality nor from the province, to actually make that last step. If I wanted to invest here in Sudbury, and I wanted to get a trash collection and sorting situation input, what sort of funding, what sort of support, and what sort of real, definite activity could I hope for from the First Nation, from the government, and from what I would call the NGOs, to really build something that composting could happen, and that plastic bottles would not end up in the ocean as they did in England, where we've been sorting trash for years. They've been collecting from 10 different types of dustbin, and then at the end it all ends up in the landfill or on a barge going out to the ocean.
Who wants to start? I would love to speak with you offline about this as well. Yeah, great question. I think in terms of support, you'd have 100% the support of the municipality for that for sure, and would love to chat further. Also, it would be great to get a sense of what is currently available and happening in gaps. There's a sustainable waste management strategy that's being undertaken as we speak and into 2024. So there's going to be a series of roundtables there to see what the actual gaps are and what the opportunities are. But long story short is there are municipal incentives for development within the film industry. There's the employment land strategy that really relates to this. And film and television industries is one of the 3 priority industries that our city council has prioritized for that. So let's chat.
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad you're here. And I can't speak on behalf of our producers at all. I'm one department that works for them. I'm employed by them in our productions. But I think, yeah, this is something for our producers, but I'm definitely interested. We'd even partner with you to sort our organics or do some sorting. And maybe there's something we can do too to sit down with our producers and see if there's a way to partner and get this going. And go into beta with it. Hey, why not? Let's just do it.
Great. We have a question over here.
An idea came to me as you're delivering your speeches there. And it's an idea that goes back to my childhood over 50 years ago. And I remember, maybe some of you in the audience recall, Dan Rain had Rain's Meat Market downtown, and his daughter Christine was a pharmacist. She opened up where the Dominion store used to be at Riverside and Regent Street. Anyway, Dan had a pig farm out by Kelly Lake. And I remember as a kid, he would go to the grocery stores and get the cut-offs from lettuce heads and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, tops off carrots and that, and it would go to feed his pigs on his pig farm. And we're talking about organic waste. I could envision maybe a 10-gallon bucket with a sign, scrape your plate. So after the meal on a production, you'd have one bucket that people could scrape all their leftover food into, and set up a network connecting with a local pig farmer to do the circuit. The grocery stores, the restaurants, film production, just establish a circuit that every day they could go and pick up this organic waste, take it out and feed the pigs, and it's recycled, and it's useful then.
I think it's a great idea, yeah.
Love it.
Second harvest for the pigs, right?
So I'm curious, when we talk about recycling, I know that there are a lot of issues geographically speaking, where some municipalities may accept certain recycle codes and other municipalities do or don't as well. So I'm wondering if you could confirm, does Sudbury accept the vast majority of recycling codes? Are there certain items that we should be looking out for on production that would be forced to go to landfill, even though they're arguably recyclable in another region? Or should those be sanitized or just bagged up and then sent out to the region that can recycle them? What's the deal with some of the recycling codes, for example?
I'll take that one.
Go ahead. I don't have any jurisdiction over recycling codes, so go ahead.
Okay. Definitely, I would I think the simplest thing to do is to get the WasteWise app on your phone. You can scan, enter, whatnot, and then it'll say yes, no. Yes, no. We've also got posters that say, this kind of coffee cup goes here, this one does not, and we're happy to provide those to be placed there. When I did speak with the folks at Solid Waste, they mentioned that one thing that's really key is that they're prepped. So if you're putting something that is half full, but in something that's recyclable, and you're putting it in the blue box, it's going to go to the landfill. So you need to be rinsing your stuff. I don't think you need to put it through the dishwasher, scrape the logo off and everything. But prepping, and that is tedious. So to your point earlier too, that's very tedious part of the sorting, especially when people are working long hours and having long days. So
there really could be a whole new department. There could be the Greens department that's really sustainable focus.
They also said that one thing that often gets put into recycling that shouldn't, is the soft plastic. So things that might,
like a bread bag.
A bread bag, yeah, that kind of thing. So generally not, but the hard styrofoam actually can go into the blue box.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I have lots of questions. Sorry.
The challenge that we face a lot with the industry is that every jurisdiction is very different in what they will accept and what they can actually work with. Like for example, in Toronto, black plastic containers are not recyclable, even though we get them everywhere, and they're kind of all throughout the city, but they're not recyclable within the city of Toronto, unfortunately. Other jurisdictions do, but it's just it's not a cohesive kind of way that everybody deals with recycling materials. So it's knowing having a connection to the jurisdiction that you're filming in will really help you when you're trying to figure out what materials go where and how you can best dispose of them. And I think if you're sorting properly and the bags aren't contaminated, then they are actually going into the proper streams, as long as they're not being put into black garbage bags and then put into landfill.
Hi, I'm so glad I came here today. You guys are amazing. I've been living off grid for 7 years, so I basically have solar power, bring in my water, and also reclaim a lot of lumber from the local dump to build sheds, whatever it is I need extraneous outside of my home. I was wondering, I realized on the film sets there's a tremendous amount of lumber from sets. Is there a way to make some of that lumber available to be used in other building projects? I know everything has to be to code depending on what you're using it for, but is there a way to disperse some of that lumber? Like where I live out in Field, I just drive up to the local landfill and fill up, reclaim whatever is good. That's not how it works here, is it?
Can I do that?
Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah. So definitely, I think that there's a big opportunity to fill the gap for set recycling in Sudbury. So if anyone wants to get into that business, and right now, in terms of what's at the landfill, there are different. So wood, whether you'd have to take it apart in order to bring it in and whatnot. Another one too is restore. But yeah, I don't think that there is someone who's currently doing set recycling, but I could be wrong locally.
Honestly, I think
Well,
this whole-
we don't offer set recycling. We have an Ontario Circular Sets Facebook marketplace where set materials can be kind of exchanged with. Exactly. So that was our way of kind of working towards the idea of a physical lockups place for sets, but the amount of resources needed to actually have a physical space, the jurisdictional challenges that we have as an industry would be really, really cost prohibitive for any organization to kind of take that over. There are some successful models out in BC specifically where they actually pair two different business models. So there's a waste recycling business model, and then there's a sustainable set piece to that as well, and that seems to work. Like that seems to be the model that works pretty good for that type of thing. But the challenge with sets when they're when productions wrap is that it needs to be out yesterday. They need it to be gone, and they're not actually constructed in a way so that they can be easily taken apart or dismantled. So there's a whole idea there about building to deconstruct for sets, so that you're actually using screws instead of nails, and not using PL, and not using those types of things, so that those materials can be deconstructed easily and then be brought into other use.
What about making the materials available to people in the community who need to do repairs and are willing to work with?
Yeah, well, that's, I talked about something earlier called Partners in Project Green, and that's a partnership that we have with an organization in the GTA, and they basically work as a broker between, say, the generator, so the production who's creating the materials, and the receiver, somebody who needs those materials, and they're typically like a not-for-profit organization that's in need of that stuff. Unfortunately, that's only GTA, because they're part of the Greater Toronto Airport Authority Association, but if there are organizations up here that might be interested in something like that, I'd love to chat with them and see if we can figure out if there's some kind of exchange program that we could work together with. That would be Ontario Green Screen's role, is to kind of help facilitate that.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody that's on the panel. I've been on film sets where I have been nourished by Suzanne. She goes above and beyond, and being Indigenous, it is an honor to have to go and find Brooke in her craft truck, because I was the one that was looking for Brooke when she was eating pickerel. Just on that backstory. There are some carps that are not employed right now. We do have some leftover woods that I know that they have repurposed and built gardens for people when we were on strike, so that does in fact happen, but it's out of the goodness of their own hearts. To have an initiative, to have the production and or yourself involved with the technical people that are available in between projects, I think that would be astronomically advantageous to the Northern Ontario economic structure. And I'm really encouraged by having organics collected on a film set and repurposed into the lands so that we can have, like I'm a gardener, offset. So I would love to pick up organics that were repurposed, say, from our scrapings. So I think it's really important. I know that in Toronto you had that service. I would love to see that happen in northern communities because we could reutilize, repurpose, and have those things come in our environment as well. So I look forward to hearing more from this gentleman over here and seeing where this think tank is going. And if I can participate, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you again for being here. I love the idea of just bringing your own water bottle, fork, knife. You know, every cast and crew member having their own little set kit. You know, I think that works no matter where you're working on film, and I think that's something that that's something that depends on individual action and personal mindset change. So if you guys want to start up a hashtag, and I'll bring my own fork and knife every time I work, and we'll just hashtag set kit, whatever, so on board.
Awesome.
Awesome. Love that.
We could get a competition going on set for who remembers to bring it the most times. They can get like a Sudbury prize package. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also there's a way of kind of gathering the data from the reusable bottles. There's an organization that's called Fill It Forward, where you get a QR code that will go on reusable bottles, and it's dishwasher safe and all that. It sticks onto your bottle, and every time you fill it, you scan the QR code, and then it tells you how much you've diverted from landfill. So collectively,
that.
it can be an amazing way for the industry to kind of see what they're actually diverting, if they're actually using that, and it kind of gamifies it for everybody, so it makes it a bit more fun, and it's like, oh, I'm going to bring my bottle today. So there's ways to do that. And then in terms of like people forgetting their bottle and saying, oh, I need a plastic bottle, we've heard of productions that will have spare bottles that people can sign out, right? So that there's no plastic, but we do have a bottle for you if you need one, so here you go. But yeah, hashtag set kit for sure. I love it.
Love it. And this is a great idea. We could even partner with our producers in production as a craft department, like to pay for half those bottles. We could do anything. Use the city water truck. Yeah, we need the city water truck.
So one more question. I'm almost at the end of the list there, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am curious though, like, are we aware of any, let's say, for lack of better words, a strong conversation with the union specifically that are addressing these concerns? Because I know, like, NABED doesn't specifically, I'm a full member in good standing with NABED 700M, which is an acronym for the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians. We do Murdoch Mysteries, Run the Burbs. We do Law and Order, Criminal Intent Toronto. We do a lot of big name shows. Now, I haven't personally had the time to go down to Toronto and assess the situation in terms of this effort. But I would gander that there isn't too much of a dialogue on this issue. And I think there's a multitude of reasons why, from budget to locations, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm just wondering if you guys can confirm that there are active conversations with the unions that seem to be productive and going in the right direction.
Yeah, so NABED 700M is part of our Ontario Green Screen Advisory Committee, and Peggy Kirakakadu is she's on our advisory. She's an amazing advocate for sustainability. All of the other unions as well as ACTRA, IATSE, not 6334, but 873 and 411 are all advisory committee members as well. So they sit at our advisory table, and they are the ones that are helping guide what our direction is for Ontario Green Screen. There's also a national committee where the national representatives of all those unions are actually participating as well. So there is a conversation happening. A lot of the unions also have their own green committees as well. So there's green committees within 873, and I believe NABED is coming up with one soon. I don't know if they have it, if they've launched it yet.
Like we need additional recyclers, additional waste management services, additional companies that are willing to take on this challenge.
That's the vendor issue is a big one, right? We need to have more people in the industry that can help support the changes that we want to make as an industry, because every time we talk to crew, they all want to make the change, but it's how do we make that change? How do we make it accessible for everybody, and how do we make it cost effective?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because
right?
if the production can't afford the green consultant or the green service, then it's going to be exceedingly difficult
Yeah.
to make it happen.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Chris, can I? Deep apologies, I called you Brad before.
That's fine. I was going to come over and see you and
That's
tell you
all
my name was Chris anyhow.
You look like Brad Pitt, that's why.
Chris,
Oh, yeah.
profound
His
apologies.
father, maybe.
I'd like to look at the flip side of that, because everybody is keen on recycling, but is it a decent business proposition to be the other side of that? To go and collect the garbage, make the kits, sell the kits, distribute the kits, collect the garbage, sort the garbage, and take it to somewhere where it's going to be used usefully rather than just back straight into the landfill.
Well, there is a model for that. There's a company in the GTA, and I'm sorry that I keep referring back to the GTA, but that's kind of my world, and I understand how that's working down there, and I know some of the players. There's a company called Rethink Resource. Rethink Resource, and they are basically a concierge service for waste haulage, basically. So they will do waste audits for you as a production company. They'll sort the waste. They'll make sure that it's sorted and it's distributed to the proper facilities that will take those materials. So it's really kind of a concierge service that will give you everything that you need. I believe there's a premium for that, but more and more as productions are trying to meet their ESG targets, and all productions that service productions that are coming up, they all need to meet targets, right? They all need to kind of reduce their environmental impact. So this is one of those tools that can help them do that. And if there's a cost involved in that, then that's something that production will eventually, I think, start budgeting for. And if you look at telefilm right now, the telefilm budget has environmental line items that are embedded now into the budget, so that there's no way that you can't miss it, right? Like that is for a sustainable PA. This is for diversion waste haulage, that kind of thing. So this shift is happening. It's not as quickly as we would like, but there are vendors out there. It'd be great if we had a vendor like that in the north.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Could I just say one thing real quick? That 8 to 10 years ago, a dear friend of mine who worked in wardrobes, she would collect the recycling on set and hide it in her trunk to bring home because she didn't want to get caught being that person. So now there's a room full of people here who care. So I think that when you say the change is slow, it's not that slow. It's come a long way, I think.
It has
Yeah.
come.